Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to part 101 of Let's Play Pillars of Eternity 2. Jesus Christ, we've been doing this for 101 parts. That's fucking loads, that is. But in the last part, we got attacked by twats with masks. So, I'm pretty sure that was a sign, but I don't think there's anything to loot of them. So, that's obviously... Fucking hell if I didn't open that up, wouldn't it? Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything to loot from these guys.
How may I help?
Let's see if talking to Alof does anything.
Do you need something?
Alright, no need to be a fucking knobhead about it. Fucking Alof, right cunt. Right, what the fuck was I doing? Right, we're going to Margren's Teeth, I think it was. Margren's Ashen... Wait. Yeah, it is Margren's Teeth, I was fucking right, nice one. Because I'm pretty sure we can't really get anywhere with side quests until we've done the more main missions. Which, I mean, I'm guessing there must be an event that the main mission causes that then gives me the opportunity, to do more missions. That's normally how RPGs work. It's a very, I mean, it's not like a, what's the word? It's not like a, fuck, what is the word? Oh, it doesn't matter. But it's essentially something that a lot of the RPGs do to. Well, spread out the side quests and the main quest, so you don't just do all of the side quests and then do, the main quests last, or just do the main quest without getting a new quest, It keeps everything varied. But it looks like the game's going to be a twat today and start loading really slowly. As you ready your ship, a cloaked figure mounts the gangplank and roughly forces a burned book into your hands. They turn it apart without a word. Burned Book of Law. The binding of this tome reeks of smoke. What few pages remain are crinkled and black. Based on the few chapter headings that survived the fire damage, this might have been a book of antiquated laws. Now there's nothing more than a charred relic of authority.
You crack the spine of the old book, revealing blackened pages of dense, illegible text. The words recede into the shadows the longer you focus on them. Suddenly, the page widens to eclipse the world around you. A dark void stretches out on all sides. The air full of choking fumes that carry dying embers and curling flakes of ash. Something stirs in the darkness.
I'm gonna go and guess Woodaka.
An old woman steps forward, leering down at you from on high. Her smile is toothy and cruel. Her cheeks warp around it like melted candle wax.
I'm so glad that my messenger tracked you down. These days it's impossible to find good help.
Keep your distance, hag.
Before you draw your weapon, know that these proceedings are under a banner of peace. If this was a trap, it would have already closed around you. While Barroth whispers in one ear and Aethys shouts in the other, I thought you could use a more seasoned perspective to drown out the noise.
So you dragged me into this blistering inferno.
This is but a small corner of the beyond. One that I use for privacy and contemplation, when I need to get away from the endless chatter. Don't you find it unusual how open and accessible my siblings have made themselves? After millennia of subdued whispers, now they practically scream their intentions. And isn't it strange how we never bicker unless a mortal is watching?
Is it? You tell me.
I would never deny that our pantheon is emotional, willful, and prone to overreaction. But we didn't get this far arguing over minutiae. If we still possessed our glorious titans, my siblings and I would have put an end to Aethys and his rampage by now. While we are powerless to stop him, some of my kin wish to observe how mortals respond to this threat. They think it will shine a light on the value of our patronage. Have we raised you well enough to be self-sufficient? Or must we return to Eora and impose some corrective measures? A cross-section of society has converged on the Deadfire. Some of my kin are of an opinion that we are meant to judge mortals on the basis of their performance. while the rest of us have already made up our minds on the matter.
So why do I get the feeling you're trying to convince me of something?
Judge for yourself. But I think you'll find my intentions are more straightforward than you think. When we ascended to godhood, we did so to provide for a savage people. Our goal was to craft a society whose values were made to last. Perhaps even a society that had no need of us. A naive fallacy, but one that inspired my optimistic, misguided kin. How you and your allies counter this threat will demonstrate whether you are competent enough to guide your own destinies, or if we need to revise our strategy. The soft-hearted among us are counting on you to win this existential wager. No doubt, Aethys shares their sympathies. I do not. We exist to rule over mortals. Nothing can change that. So now you know the truth. I assume you have questions.
Let's figure it. Let's see. So what? Go on then. What? Humor me. Why did you choose to confide in me?
Whether knowingly or unintentionally, you seem to find yourself on the vanguard of change. Mortals like you come but once in a lifetime. Some would react poorly if I stripped mortals of their freedom without giving them a chance to plead their case. You have the honor of standing tall as their advocate. Before I return to Eora and assume my position as your deserving tyrant, you have this opportunity to prove me wrong. To demonstrate whether or not mortals are responsible enough to claim their future.
You speak as if we don't have a chance.
You speak as if you do. Mortals have precious little time to decide for themselves. Will they stand together as one, or swallow their pride and bend the knee? I have every confidence that you will disappoint us. Once my position is upheld, the undecided among the gods will embrace my plan.
So the gods think my actions can prove their point about mortal societies?
Prove it or disprove it, yes. I never agreed to this arrangement, but if your example demonstrates mortal ineptitude, as I trust it will, then I can make the plan serve me. An assertive minority of gods believe that your choices will prove the value of their wild optimism. As if mortal collaboration and ingenuity are endorsements of our leadership. Then there are those of us who know better, who are not so easily convinced. Kith are vulnerable, unless they submit to the destiny we chart for them. Thinking otherwise can only breed dissent and chaos.
I want to talk about the wheel and your rise to godhood.
The wheel is our shared responsibility, and each of us serves it in our own fashion. I am the axle upon which the gods balance their power. Aethys keeps the wheel in motion. He was our promise to mortals that time and labor would yield a deserving reward on the next turning of the cycle.
So how did the Ingriffins become gods?
At the height of our power, we recognized the potential of the soul. We knew that it could be bound, split apart, diverted like a river, and hammered together. Hammering was trivial. Those of us who agreed with the Apotheosis Project, and many who did not, submitted to a violent and horrible erasure of our individuality. After the dust settled, we adopted the forms of beings from Eora's most prevalent myths. There were other faiths and legends, but we labored to strike their names from history.
How exactly does the wheel function?
Much of reincarnation's mechanism exists in the idea space of the beyond. You wouldn't find a wall of cogs and levers unless we conjured one to illustrate a point. The wheel has but one material component in all of Eora. Something we built to channel essence through luminous Adra and into the beyond with reliable continuity. Before we intervened, the flow of essence was directionless, unpredictable. We succeeded in widening the gap, diverting it, giving it an efficient path to follow.
So reincarnation exists before you, so why not just leave it alone?
Before we took control of the wheel, reincarnation was error-prone, lacking forward momentum. Hollowborn were fairly common, and hardly the worst of the soul maladies. Control gave us the power to strengthen the souls of intelligent kith over generations. We made you wiser, stronger, more likely to develop the society we thought you deserved. Every turning of the cycle demonstrated the righteousness of my belief. Nature begets chaos, and discipline begets perfection.
Alright, back to my other questions.
Speak, Watcher. It isn't every day that I open myself to these communions, so spend your breath wisely.
Tell me about this enlightened society you once wanted.
It was an ambitious plan, our utopia. Perhaps too ambitious. We ascended to power, responding to a need inadequately satisfied. Assuming these roles gave us the authority to mold Eora over time, to influence you and lay the groundwork for a society yet to come. On the outset of the plan, some believed that mortals would outgrow us, as if that was a favorable outcome. To me, our eternal pantheon was always a critical fixture. Aethys was one of those who supported mortals, while I have always been their most vocal critic.
How would you even recognize that ideal society?
A valid, self-defeating question, and one which I posed often. We assumed that they, whoever they were, would reveal themselves to us. Rational government would rule in our stead, leaving churches vacant. Thanks to Aethys, we're pulling the dough from the oven before it's had a chance to fully rise. You unfortunate bastards never had the chance to prove me wrong.
So why do the other gods tolerate your opposition?
Opposition can take many forms. If a church embraces and weaponizes my doctrine, that is very different from me rampaging as a titan. Aethys is not known for subtlety. Twice now, he has contaminated the purity of our experiment, and done so with extravagant displays that undermine our authority.
And you call what Theos did subtle?
His approach was sophisticated, indirect. I owe you no explanations on the matter. Besides, you are not worthy to speak his name.
I was worthy enough to kill him, though, wasn't I?
I am the counterpoint to the soft-hearted. It makes no difference if mortals pass some arbitrary test. My mind is settled on the matter. Regardless of my feelings, the timing of this crisis forces us to accelerate our schedule. Final judgment comes sooner than any of us would prefer.
Doesn't this social engineering plan seem counterintuitive?
You mean gods crafting a godless world? Naturally. My siblings desired to influence mortals and steer them in a proper direction, even if that direction led to places we could not follow. I have no intention of being left behind. Society would unravel without its queen to impose strict order.
So what happens if someone proves you wrong?
If our pantheon found that mortals had cultivated a perfect, lawful system to maturity, I would not voice a word in protest. I would merely stand aside and await the inevitable collapse. Mortals need us. I know this as well as I know myself. Even a lawful and responsible society would be poised to collapse as long as its architects and strongest adherents were mortal. Any satisfaction that my siblings derived from their little experiment would be short-lived, and it would fall to me to clean up after their mess.
So you're right even when you're wrong. Got it.
Make no mistake, Watcher. In this, I cannot be proven wrong. You have learned much already. Only ask if you are ready for the truth.
Has your opinion on mortals changed at all?
Nothing you've done has tarnished it utterly beyond repair. You may congratulate yourself on that much, at least.
No, we'll speak again.
Yes, I think we will. This is not the end of our discussion. You know how to find your way back to this place.
Wotica nods stiffly. You feel her presence drift as a breeze, rustling as it goes.
What a bitch! Right, to Margaret's Teeth we go. Oh, Ashen Moor. There we go. Which is part of Margaret's Teeth. Well, always nice to hear from the biggest bitch in the fucking game, but you know, what can you do? I don't hate Wotica at all. Anyway, now that we've had a few words with her, it puts into perspective a few, like, a little bit of understanding why everyone does what they do. Doesn't mean I like Wotica though, because she's a cunt. I'm not gonna go near a plague ship. That sounds like bait. That does. Go straight for the Ashen Moor. There, Margaret. Ooh, what the fuck is that? Fucking long ship. Thick smoke, black as death, plumes from the peak of the rumbling volcano, the largest in the chain of mountains that make up Margaret's Teeth. A serrated fissure gapes in the mountainside, deep and dark, but intermittently lit by a red-hot glow. The cavernous opening is too narrow for bleak sail to sail through. The skiff sways tumultuously in the superheated water the closer you row to the cave's cracked opening. Lava bubbles down the mountainside, scorching rivers that disappear into the dark blue sea. Inside the rock face, the sound of a churning magma grows louder and the air warms around you, beading sweat along your brow. Well, here we are. I found Airface! Holy fuck. So this is the... So before I started playing this game, I did actually look up... I was looking on the community because obviously I bought this game quite a while before... Well, actually, only just before we finished PoE 1.
This where Gone stormed through? At least the docks are still intact.
Yeah, like I said, I saw pictures of I think I saw pictures of down. I think it's a few more floors down, right next to his big bulbous head. So yeah, I did wonder where and whenabouts we'd get to this, but it's always interesting, isn't it? We're gonna go stealthy, I think. Nah, no, we're not. I haven't been stealthy this entire playthrough so far. Why the fuck would I suddenly start now, eh?
There's a point when architecture is just plain evil.
Nah.
Easily done.
The burned remains of these prisoners wear the tatters of sailors' garbs. Well, I'm going to say they were sailors. You know, just a well-educated opinion. So I feel sorry for my sword because it's not getting the amount of kiff deaths it requires. Angry Troll +1 resolve. Who'd have thought an Angry Troll would give us +1 resolve, eh? What do they do? I'm not really fussed about... Ooh, what's that? No, it's just equip. I don't know what that's for, but it'll be useful to see. I think the extra health is going to help all of our party. Like the extra free constitution is going to help our party. What's this? Though ashen, the skin of this dead giant remains hot to the touch.
I see your plan.
Slumped against the stone of the bridge, a giant clutches at his bastin chest. It's a mess of sinew and blackened iron bones, fiery blood flickering between his splayed fingers. Thickly rasping a breath, the warrior lifts his head lifts his heated gaze to your face.
Extinguished or crushed. Us all, defiler.
He struggles to speak. The agony of a slow death blazes through the scrolls in his skin, shrouding him with a veil of fire. I need to get to Aethys.
Servants of the Defiler God. Damn you.
He chokes, liquid fire trickling from his lips. This is going to hurt you more than it hurts me. The Raffen glowers as you approach, dagger glinting from the light of his flames. He gasps for you with a meaty, blood-burned hand, but his swipe is clumsy and weak. You effortlessly shove his arm to the side before stabbing the knife into his already ruined chest. You twist the blade, slicing again and again while he grunts and slumps forward against the gritted stone at his back until he moves no more. Nor makes a sound, his hands laying limp on the ground.
You ought to let me do the mercy killing, Watcher. That many cuts. It's not the easiest of ways to go.
There's a cleaner way of doing these things. I'm not saying it's always better, but cleaner.
Maya shrugs. Shirty swings her lantern back and forth over the warrior's body until a large, shimmering cloud of essence lifts up and into her lantern. She grunts, the lantern dipping in her hand as if heavier momentarily. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in the next part, we'll go see what Aethys is fucking up to. See you guys then.